Hey guys, Drifter here. Today I've got some good news for you. CoD 2017 is going to be boots on the ground. Yes, you heard that right. Call of Duty is ditching the jetpacks and going back to its roots. In the Activision Blizzard earnings call that happened yesterday, it is about once a quarter, there were a lot of new announcements about most of their franchises, but today we're going to focus on Call of Duty. The announcement was official that yes, SledgeHammer Games is developing CoD 2017. I don't think that was a big surprise to anybody, but it was just never really officially announced. But they did announce that it's going to be boots on the ground, and I will let you know that they did not use the word boots on the ground for whatever reason, but it was announced that there will be no jetpacks. They said they're going to be leaving those behind. They discussed the space setting and said that they felt that space was not the correct setting for Call of Duty. There was no mention of future or near future settings, but no space at least. And there is a quote we have that says, Call of Duty will return to, quote, traditional content that we know our fans will love. These calls in the video game world are used somewhat for teases and somewhat for investors, so this is straight from the horse's mouth. This isn't like a BS or made up thing, and it just seems to point all indicators toward the next Call of Duty being boots on the ground. This is their kind of way of making that announcement. So I definitely think that that's a good thing. Personally, the boosting and jetpacking stuff didn't bother me very much. I just tend to like those bouncy sort of games. However, I realized that my personal opinions were different from that of probably the majority of the Call of Duty community. So we're going back to boots on the ground. There was some acknowledgement that space was not the proper setting for Call of Duty, and Sledgehammer has some unique advantages that other studios have not had recently, so I'm optimistic. Primarily, all of their advantages have to do with time and ease of development. For SledgeHammer Games, there was no big studio shakeup, no merger acquisition kind of thing, unlike at Infinity Ward, where they took in Neversoft and they partnered with Raven for the remaster, and there was, some organizational challenges there. There's honestly, Infinity Ward is still reorganizing from the original Respawn team leaving. Sledgehammer Games has had more time for feedback since making a 3D movement game. Unlike, so I would want to say unlike Treyarch, I don't want to say that they did it bad, but Sledgehammer Games did the first 3D movement game, then we had Treyarch, and then we had IW. Sledgehammer's had 3 years of feedback and 3 years of seeing people not really liking that, and 3 years to rethink the movement, so they've got the most amount of time there, and they've had the most amount of time to think about supply drop implementation, because they were the first studio to introduce supply drops, to monetize supply drops, and kind of get the ball rolling here, and they certainly have heard or felt the negative feedback from the community about them, and obviously they would have felt any financial benefits as well. So Sledgehammer Games is in a unique position to have more time than any other studio to come up with a unique supply drop plan. I'm hoping that whatever they choose to implement this time, because let's not kid ourselves, there's almost certainly going to be supply drops, is more in the cosmetic line of the things, more fair, more long-lasting, we hope, instead of just this single game. Maybe there will be a new and better implementation that we can all be happy with, myself included, despite my moaning about drops, but we'll see how that goes. And an interesting note about this Call of Duty is that they mentioned that COD had a record MAU count for the franchise. And you'll say, well, what? MAU is monthly active users. It's a metric to determine how many people have played in a month. And what was interesting is that this was for the franchise as a whole. So having more MAUs, or monthly active users, than ever before means that COD isn't dying, unlike popular community perceptions. COD's quite strong, but it's odd to note that it was franchise-wide and not just focused on the latest game or the latest 1 or 2 games is what they did when the consoles split. I think that seems to indicate that the COD player base is kind of split across a couple of different games, primarily, and there are probably a lot of players playing old Call of Duty games at least once or twice per month, which is just interesting to me. I'm not going to try to make too many speculations or say many bad things about it, but I did find it to be interesting. I thought you guys would find this news interesting. We're going to get some boots on the ground, and hopefully all those things that we don't like about our favorite game are going to get brushed up, and next year will be great, we hope. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something useful. If you did, don't forget to like, favorite, and subscribe. Drifter out.